So I wanted to come on here and give 5 tips regarding becoming or being a surgical technologist. So one of the things is the role, of a surgical technologist. So y'all, the role of a surgical technologist is to maintain the sterility of the OR when there's an operation going on. Another role that we do is we set up the back table. So we set up the table for the surgery, including the instruments. We also do a count. We count the sponges. We count the instruments. All of that good stuff with the RN that's in the room, which they call them circulators in the OR. And the OR, one of the most important roles is the surgical technologist and the RN in the room. We have to be a team. It's teamwork when it comes to the OR. So another part of the team is our anesthesiologist, which it can be an anesthesiologist, or it can be a CRNA, which is a certified registered nurse anesthetist. Also, there's usually a PA, which is a physician assistant, or it might be another surgical technologist that's helping assist. Or if you work in a teaching hospital, there's usually residents, there's usually fellows, all of that stuff in the OR. So the second thing about surgical technologists is like I said, we have to know the instruments. So learning the instruments and everything is very key, and all of that is done in school. So the third thing is the education. So for a surgical technologist, you can go to a technical school in your local area. So college is not for everybody, y'all. So if you do not want to go to college, you can always look up your local technical school, which they have so many vocational career paths that you can do. I originally was going to do LPN, but because the LPN program had a waiting list, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to. I was sick and tired of customer service. I hated it. I hated talking to people on the phone that was cussing you out, yelling, fussing. Y'all, you get tired of that. So I was like, you know what? I need a career where I can deal with people in person. And y'all, in the OR, I deal with people, but I don't, the main people that I deal with the most is the staff, like whoever I'm working with, because the patient, when they come in the room, majority of the time they're nervous. They don't remember the surgical tech. They might remember the nurse, they might remember the anesthesia, but they do not know the surgical tech, because once you come in the room, you're usually drugged up, and you might see the surgical tech in the room, but people rarely remember the surgical tech. So the education I did full time, and my course was 14 months, and that was Monday through Friday. Most technical schools have an evening course. I don't think it's full time. I think it's more part time. So if you have to work during the day, most schools have a part time. I think it's a little longer for part-time because, you're not doing it as many days as full-time. So I think usually the evening, those are usually 16 months. But y'all, that was over almost 19 years ago when I've been in school. So I'm sure it has changed. And I know a lot of places, if you have to check out your local state and stuff, a lot of them are requiring for you to get an associate's degree in surgical tech now. So you can check your technical school, but check your local community colleges as well, because you can leave out with an associate's degree. So another thing is, the instruments. You will have to learn the instruments. There is probably 3 to 4 months of book work, and the rest of it is hands-on, y'all. So if you or a person, y'all, the book work was easy. I mean, it just depends on your work, your study habits. Me, myself, and another classmate, we partnered up, we buddied up, and that's the way to go because, of course, you're dealing with a lot of anatomy and stuff like that. But the instruments are, I mean, it's simple once you get hand on and you're using them all the time, it becomes repetition. So after a while, you'll start remembering, the names and stuff like that. Y'all, another thing, a key thing I will say is if you are not a person that can stomach blood, bodily fluids, all of that stuff, it's not for you. Okay? I'm just saying. Because you're going to see a lot of blood, you're going to see a lot of bodily fluids. And if you can't stomach that, every time you cut your finger, you be about to die, it's not for you. FYI. And another thing, let me see. The last point I would say is teamwork. It takes a lot of teamwork, coordination with your the RN in the room, the anesthesia in the room, the doctor, the residents, the whoever's in the room. Everybody has to work together as a team because the ultimate purpose is we are there for the patient. So the patient is our number one priority. And the surgical technologists and the RN are the main people who has to make sure that the sterility is maintained throughout the surgery. If anything, the surgical technologists, we watch everything. We watch what's going on with the instruments. We watch, make sure there's nothing that falls. If it's going to be, if something is going to fall, we make sure there's no break in the technique of the sterility throughout the surgery. So if anything happens, the sterility or anything, the surgical tech is majority of the time the first one to know or notify whoever broke the sterile technique. And that's our role, y'all. So we are trained that way. We are trained to pay attention to what's going on. We have to let the surgeon know. Sometimes the surgeon might not know that they contaminated something. So we have to let them know. And then we have different steps and stuff like that, protocols to take if there's a break in sterility. But that is the role of the surgical technologist. We have a very, very important role. We don't get a lot of credit for what we do, but that's okay, y'all, because once you do it and you love it, you don't really have to have the credit because at the end of the day, our priority, like I said, is the patient. So another career path after you are a surgical technologist, certification is key. A lot of schools now, you can take your certification test before you leave school. When I was done, it was optional. You didn't have to do it. But now I know a lot of schools are taking their test before they graduate, which is good because you can automatically leave out because like I said, it's a lot of hands-on. So you spend at least 9 months out of that 14 months. No, we spent like 10 months out of that 14 months in a hospital hands-on from days, basically working for free. So a lot of people end up with jobs before they even graduate. So for you to get your certification and a job right out of school, y'all, is amazing. Another career path after that, after you've got a lot of people get their hands-on, they get you've been doing it a while, y'all. I'm getting brain and it's about to cut off. You get your experience, and then you can become either a PA. You can go back to school to become a nurse. A lot of people go back to school to be nurses, doctors, physician assistants. But if you get your experience, like myself, I have over 18 years of experience. August 1st will actually be 19 years of experience. Now I left my full-time job. And now I'm a traveler. So now I go and do a surgical tech at different hospitals all over the world, all over the states. So that's one of the ways to utilize your experience and win-win with it, y'all. So if surgical tech is something you're interested in doing, check your local schools. If you are already a surgical tech and you've been thinking about traveling and you want more information, inbox me as well. I would love to share more details and info with you so you can get out there and make that money. But I hope this helps. I hope you enjoy these tips. Peace out.